What is up guys, Zanif Tech is here and I'm finally back with making new videos, but this time I'm going to be making a video on iOS 14 Beta 1. This is the newly released iOS version that came out at WWDC and it's full of new features. First, I'll show you how to install the iOS beta profile on your device. You do need this profile in order to pull updates for iOS 14 every 2 weeks in the beginning when new updates come out. And this will get rid of iOS 13 OTA updates for the future if you go on iOS 14. If you're interested in this, keep in mind that this is kind of buggy. There may be apps that don't work with iOS 14, so if it's your daily driver iPhone, please beware. Otherwise, if you want to download the profile, you'll need to go to Google and look up iOS beta, and you will need to go on betaprofiles.com. Here you can download the iOS beta profile. Keep in mind it needs to be in Safari and not Chrome, because Safari works directly with settings. And once you've downloaded the profile, you can go to your settings and below your iCloud name, you'll see profile downloaded. Here, the install button's on the very far right. You just install the profile, your phone will restart. And once it restarts, you just go to general, about, you'll see that your current iOS version is iOS 13. Just go to software update and you'll get an update for iOS 14. Here, I'll show you some of the new features, especially with the home screen, because that's the biggest change in iOS 14, the ability to add widgets to your home screen. As you can see, I've added a new widget through fitness. They renamed activity to fitness now. But every widget, or most of them, have at least 2 to 3 different dimensions. So if you want a small one, a medium-sized longer one, or a very long one to cover all your apps in 2 rows, then there's that option. As you can see here, you can add batteries if you have an Apple Watch, AirPods Pro, Apple Pencil for the iPads. So this is a really cool widget as well that I like a lot, especially having on the home screen, because before you can only have widgets on the left side of your home screen, but now you can actually have them between your apps. Keep in mind, it's not openly customizable like Android where you can place it anywhere, but here you have to place it within a block of 4 icons. If you hold your home screen to jiggle mode, then you will see here that you can remove home screens now. So if you only want one home screen like I've shown you right now, then you can swipe to the right and you have your app library auto customized based on Apple and their categories. And then you also have an app library search bar. Here you can search for all your apps if you don't want any pages or you want to use the app library. This is a really neat feature because it's alphabetical, and I know a lot of people might like that feature as well. They also gave us the possibility of having as many home screens as we want, including the app library. So don't think you only need one primary home screen and then you can swipe to get the app library. It works with as many home screens as you have. So that's a pretty cool feature as well. Another new feature is the ability to search for emojis now within your keyboard. So before, you would have to, look for those categories on the bottom and think where your emoji might be. But now with search emoji, you can actually type in the word laugh, for example, and it would come up with all the laughing emojis on the top, which it thinks are assigned to that name. Or you can look up USA and then you would get the USA flag. This is really useful, especially if you know there's an emoji for something that you want to use, but you don't want to scroll through the pages and pages of emojis that there is. So it's finally awesome that they added this feature to iOS 14. Another cool thing that a lot of people have noticed on Twitter is that there's an option for select devices, I believe after iPhone 10, under touch. There's a back tap feature that's not on by default, but you can turn it on and you can double tap and triple tap your device and select a specific function. Here, I'm going to show you double tapping. I'm going to assign it to lock screen and triple tapping to screenshot. And when I do that, you'll see that on the back of the case or the actual iPhone, you can tap and it will create that function for you. So as you can see here, it works best, I noticed, if you tap on the back of the Apple logo. If you tap twice, here's 3 times, but if you tap twice, then it will take you to your lock screen. Sometimes. See, that's where the bugginess comes into iOS 14. I'm not quite sure if this is a final feature or they're just testing it out, but it doesn't work all the time and it doesn't work that good with a case. So keep that in mind as well. Another very interesting feature that they added under motion, under accessibility, is to limit to 60 hertz. For some reason, it doesn't show on my device all the time. I have noticed it does show under motion, but this is an indicator possibly that we might have a 120 hertz display on the new iPhones. Here I'll show you the new wallpapers as well. As you can see, the top 3 wallpapers are dynamic, so they do change with light mode and dark mode. But this is the default one. Then you have a blue-greenish wallpaper as well, and then a purple, gray-blue wallpaper. They're pretty cool. There's going to be more wallpapers with the new iPhones as well, but those are going to be exclusive to those specific iPhones. Under camera, there's a couple of new things. Apple included a green light, as you may see. It looks similar to how a MacBook shows. And you can see if you pull the actual control center down, it shows you why there's a green light, because the camera is being used by the camera. Sometimes it changes to orange if you're using your microphone. And then also here in the camera settings, you have an exposure level now. The other best feature that came from the iPad, finally to iOS 14 on the iPhones, is picture-in-picture. Currently, this does not work on the YouTube native app because it hasn't been updated. We're not quite sure if it's going to be updated by September when iOS 14 should come out. But if you run a YouTube video within Safari, you can see that it comes out picture-in-picture. So pretty much you can open any other app, settings, change a setting, or you want to go and send a message or look at a reminder. You can move the screen different places on your device, and then you can make it smaller. You can pause it. You can skip a couple seconds forward or backward. It's pretty cool how they've done that on this iPhone, especially with a big screen. My favorite feature, of course, is the new Call UI, which is now a drop-down and doesn't take up your entire screen. Finally, Apple, it took you 14 iOS versions. Keep in mind that on the lock screen, if the phone is locked, it still shows up as the old UI, which is normal because why would you need it smaller when it's locked? The other most requested feature was to change how Siri works. A lot of people complain that it takes up the whole entire screen, just like the Call UI, but now they've redesigned that and put Siri right at the bottom in the middle. And when you ask it questions like the weather I've shown you here, it shows up in a little pop-up above, just like the Call UI. And if it has to give you some kind of response, it shows it right above the circle. This is really nice. That way you can use Siri, but I have noticed that you can't do anything in the background. So it kind of defeats the purpose of not having a full screen and then also blocking out your screen. Another awesome feature that Apple introduced is the new translator app. This is a default translator app that comes directly with the phone, but what it lets you do now is type a response and you get it converted right into another language. Keep in mind in the beginning now, it doesn't support a lot of languages, most of the default ones that iOS would give you, but you can also play it back and it plays it back in that language. And also you can use your microphone if you don't want to type it out and have a full-on conversation with somebody by actually talking to it, and then it gives you a response back. Safari on iOS also gains a feature to pull a tracking report to see which cookies are being tracked from what websites. That way you know exactly on what's being used as your information and what websites are pulling that information so they can display advertisements within different apps like Facebook or Instagram based on your Safari search history. Another cool feature is the ability to know where you copied something and where you pasted it from. So for example, here I'm copying it from Maps, the address of Apple Circle. And you can see here, if you paste it, it tells you it's notes pasted from Maps. That's a really nice feature so you know exactly where you got it from. Those are some of the new features of iOS 14, especially beta 1, because they might remove some features and add new features later on in the new betas. But they did add a couple of new things like, map cycling in select cities, and then CarPlay wallpapers and car key for select vehicles. But overall, these are new big features with iOS 14. And I would like to thank you for watching this video. And if you liked it, the usual, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Zanev Tech is out.